Welcome back to Two Doctors Homestead. My name is Daniel. Got something important want to bring up, wanted to share, want to get your thoughts on. Certainly jump in on the comments. Tell me what you think here. I think a very fundamental reality that we live in has changed, and I think a lot of people missed it. Maybe saw it, didn't dig in on it. Maybe you guys are on the same page as I am here. Not talking about the TikTok ban, not talking about the shock and awe of the inauguration tomorrow. We maybe dig into that a little bit. Talking about resources, talking about the very fundamental reason that we're fighting wars, that we're going to wars, the direction the world's going in. It's a little scary if you dig into it. So let's talk about that a little bit, right? So December 3rd, the Chinese government has announced they'll no longer issue export licenses for rare earths, such as gallium, germanium, antimony to the United States. Marks a new chapter in the technology war between the world's leading powers. Technology war. Fundamental nature of why we go to war, right? You look at what they're talking about now. Hey, we're going to bring Greenland into the United States because we need those natural resources. It's resources, right? Historically, vast majority of wars leading up to now haven't fought over ideologies, theology. You look at Vietnam War, right? There's a great book, March of Folly. We really went into that to fight communism, right? You look at World War II, World War I. You look at a lot of the major wars that have happened. We're fighting war on terror. We're fighting communism. The world's changed, right? I think what we're going to see now is people going after resources, right? We're fighting for the last scraps of bread that's left on the table here, that's left on the planet. Not today, right? Maybe I'm exaggerating, but tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years, why do we want Greenland? Well, we need those special resources. We need those natural resources. China, no, we're not going to sell you these natural resources. When you talk about rare earth metals, this stuff you probably never even heard about, not sure what it even does, that we need to keep modern civilization going. There's a grab, right? We're not talking about taking Greenland by force. But I think we're seeing a fundamental shift, right, in the way the world works. The grab, right, the need for this stuff that's in limited supply around the planet is only going to intensify, right? I hate to say in stage of civilization as we know it, but if you dig in, you think about it, there's a limited amount of rare earth metals, whatever it is, whatever they need, whether it's lithium or cobalt or any of that. Helium, right? We're allegedly running out of helium. That's a different kind of war. As I said, we're moving into an era where there's a limited number of pieces of bread, scraps and crumbs left that people are going to go after, people are going to fight over. You see the idea of this massive expansion of the United States because we need these natural resources now, right? You could say, hey, we were always fought over oil. Oil is a natural resource. But did we go to war in the Middle East because we were running out of oil, or was it really just to make money selling the oil, right? I think you look at the oil wars, you look at the drug wars, right? That's about money. But when we're talking about going to Greenland, that's about we need those natural resources so we can build all of our electric cars and everything else that runs society. Gold, silver, copper, lead, zinc, graphite, olivine, cryolite, marble. I've heard graphite. Graphite might be one of those ones, but there's a list. There's a list of natural resources, rare earth metals, make the magnets, make the batteries, make all these things. So I think we're seeing that. We're going to see a shift in wars over natural resources, right? And that, to me, in my mind, we're not at water yet. What point are we going to war over water? I think you look historically, you see civilizations collapsing as they're grasping for these precious things they need. And it's not gold. Gold has no real value beyond what we give to it. I know people love gold and they buy gold, and gold's a great store of value and whatnot. But beyond making electronics and making jewelry, which is important, gold has no real value. Oil, at least, is a resource. You can burn it in your car. Not saying you should, obviously. But we're moving on. We're moving on to whatever's left, whatever we can grasp. We're grasping as a society. We're peacefully grasping, but at what point does that grasp for the last resources, the last crumbs, become violent? And I think, as I said, I think that really is a sign of the end stages, right? Not saying we're all going to die in 5 years, but nations expanding, trying to pull in as many of these things that they need as they can. So want to dig in on that a little bit. I do want to talk about shock and awe, right? I think we're all expecting a certain amount of shock and awe in Monday. Inauguration, new president, big change in the government, from what we've had to what we will have. Some people happy about it, some people not happy about it. Talking about executive orders, is it hundreds tomorrow? Tuesday, is it thousands coming in? We'll see structural changes in the government. Abolish the Department of Education, they talked about that. Move agencies out of D.C., they've talked about that. Immigration, mass deportations, disruptions. How do you not have disruptions if we're going to have mass deportations? High risk of an incident. You talk about domestic terrorism. Outgoing, I think it was the National Security Advisor outgoing when he sat in his little speech, and you've probably all heard this before, saying, well, this is my last speech, unless something happens, which is very likely, right? We're at that point as a society. There's this high expectation. There could be some kind of a domestic attack, terrorist attack at any moment, right? That's where we've gotten to, that level of chaos where any moment could, yeah, sure, of course, there could be an attack tomorrow. No surprise there, right? See some people talking about terrorist cells, domestic cells. See groups like Antifa saying, we're getting ready, right? Someone did a post that I know other people have already talked about where, hey, I went to an Antifa event and snuck in there, and they're really organized and they're ready to go, right? Are we going to see more civil unrest? We'll find out, right? There's no point in speculating beyond now, in that we'll find out here. We'll find out next week. We'll find out in the coming weeks. But expect major changes. As a prepper, just be mentally prepared. Don't be surprised, right? And we always talk about that. Why bother? Why bother to be a prepper? Every time there's a freeze here in Texas, right? Everyone runs to the store. They got to get their groceries because the store might be closed for a day, so they're packing shopping carts, getting out of there, which means people are not prepared. And hopefully, if you're following this channel, if you've been a prepper a long time, you have some level of preparedness, that you're not one of those people running to the grocery store. Well, taking that a step further, beyond a 2-day winter storm, instead, what happens when we're struggling for resources, just the basic things we need to move society. But we got to go to war for that, because some other country's not selling us their last chunk of lithium, and we want that chunk of lithium. I think things could get ugly, right? We got the shock and awe, TikTok ban. I think that sucks, right? That is just a massive censorship, massive knock against free speech, honestly. I mean, we had TikTok. I never said we didn't. Two Doctors Homestead actually had a lot of followers on TikTok. I would say on TikTok, and I know I'm kind of scatterbrained here, just a lot of stuff I wanted to dump. Haven't made a video in a while. We've been super busy. And I've just been kind of watching what's going on, not really sure what direction things were going in, but I've got a pretty good sense right now in some of the directions we're going in. But people actually made content on TikTok, right? You look at something like X, and it's just the same 20 people posting the same 10 things, and every day you got 5 people saying, can you see me? You didn't see that on TikTok. There were a lot of people dumping a lot of content, put a lot of time into that. So that's, to me, is huge suppression of free speech, right? You didn't hear people on TikTok saying they were shadow banned. Other social media platforms have admitted to shadow banning, have admitted to censorship, and this kind of content's good, and we don't push that content. So that was actually a pretty free speech platform. But we'll see where that goes. Does it come back? What happens? Do the other platforms learn? They won't, right? They're going to continue. We're going to see more censorship, more suppression, more distractions, right? But I think the thing to look at, the thing to think about, the thing to prepare for is if we are in the resource wars, we'll see more. We're going to see more conflict, more scrambling, more inflation as these things that we thought were common and necessary become unavailable. So as a prepper, certainly, right, just be ready. Be ready to survive with less, to be able to survive difficult situations. Make sure you got your basics covered. Strive to learn skills and be as self-sufficient as possible. So that's all I had today. A couple people in the comments, I think it's great. We talk about community, and I think community is really important, right? And people in the comments are saying, hey, I want to meet other preppers, but I don't know how. And it can be difficult. It's a tight-knit group, and people are generally pretty secretive on what they're doing, because you get made fun of, right? If people think you're a prepper, you're worried about the government, you're worried about conspiracies, but generally you're just trying to live your life, right? And you want to be prepared in case something happens. So drop your name, right? I mean, you don't have to drop your full name, but drop a comment and say, hey, this is where I'm checking in from, right? We've said that before. Check in. You might see someone else in the comments and be like, hey, I'm in that area. Do you want to talk? Do you want to, maybe meet up somewhere? And obviously be safe when you're meeting strangers on the internet. But I've met people through the channel. My friend Jason, great friend, met people through the channel, met people through the prepper groups. You got to be willing sometimes to take that risk and actually talk to somebody and meet somebody. And I think that's how you build. It's how you build a community. And I think a community absolutely is your greatest strength. People are going to be the greatest strength. Food, water, rice and beans, all that stuff's important. But having people is always going to be a strength. Having a variety of skills, because you're going to need skills on all of that. But keep an eye on things. As I said, I feel like, to me, it's a good possibility of a future where we're struggling for resources. It's not about ideologies. It's not about theology. It's not about amassing money. It's we need resources to survive. And there's going to be a level of desperation that I think we haven't seen before. So wanted to share that. That's my thought for the day. As always, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.